Welcome back to Wood Acres. I'm Cody. I'm here with Echo, and we're gardening from home. Today is February 22nd, and I am in Zone 6A. If you've been following along, we've got some of our herbs started. Some of the onions we're growing this year, and I think we started a bunch of brassicas. Broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. Today, I'll be starting some of the flowers. Calendula is one of them. It can get started a little earlier than most because it can handle a frost, light frost. I'll be starting Penstemon Spirit mix from Park Seeds. I got these seeds last year and I'll be using them again. The Penstemon takes a pretty long time to germinate. They want 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost date. And also with the Snapdragon Floral Showers Bicolor mix, Snapdragon Candy Tops mix, and the Snapdragon Night and Day mix. I'll also be starting some chives and basil, which I already started chives, but I want to get some more, so I'll be starting 6 more. And I want to get some basil early on, so I'll be starting one of my lettuce leaf basils. This is how I set out my trays. I'll be doing 12 calendula, 12 penstemon, 12 of each of the snapdragons, and then 6 each of the chives and basil. Over here I got my Happy Frog seed starting mix already moistened. Not too moist. You can see holds together. Nothing's really, a couple of drips coming out if you really squeeze. I think that's pretty good. I used this grate this time, 1/4 inch openings, to sift out some of the larger stuff because some of these snapdragons have really small seeds. The penstemon especially has small seeds, so I want to give them their good easy soil to root through for their starting out and sprouting. First thing we're going to do is fill up the seed tray with the moistened mix. If you're following along, you'll know that we do this every time with the soil mix already moistened. It makes it a lot easier when you're dealing with the seeds, and then we pack them down so each cell is full of the soil. You don't want any air pockets in there that can hurt the development of the seeds, or the roots actually. Take a big handful, and this is why I do it on the floor, because I make a mess. Normally I do it in the greenhouse, but we got snow. It's actually raining right now, but we still have at least 4 inches of snow on the ground. I got my greenhouse open. If you saw it in the last video, it was all wrapped up and still barricaded for the winter. I got it opened up and got a new shelving system put in there, which is going to work out real nice this year with all the extra seeds I'll be starting. If you don't know already, I've been growing for about this will be my 3rd season. And I grow flowers and I grow vegetables. Now, I normally grow everything in the garden from seed. I don't buy a lot of starts, if any. Some things I can't find, and then some things don't work out while I'm growing them from seed, so then I do have to buy some starts. But I always give it a try to grow it from seed to begin with, just to see if I can. I like to learn about each plant and everything I can when I'm growing it. Now I'm going to use my fingers here. Oh, puppy's hitting my stand. Use my 2 fingers here and I'm going to gently pack down the soil in each cell. I'm going to make sure the cells are full of soil because that's all they're getting to sprout with. So give them as much soil in that cell as you can get in there without being too firm. Once you have them all packed in and even, and give it a drop or two, settle that soil down in there. Now the first seed I'm going to start with is the Calendula or Calendula, however you want to say it. They have little kind of like shrimp looking, dried up worm looking seeds. So what I'm going to do here is just take my finger, I'll use a skewer stick to make a small divot in each cell for the 12 cells that I'm putting the calendula in. I'm going to put 2 seeds per cell just in case one doesn't germinate. You don't want to be waiting around for an uneven amount of cells. I'm starting these a little early because, like I said, they can take a mild frost if it comes, and they're actually a cousin to the marigold, so they're very good to keep in your garden with your vegetables. Really long bloom season. I had them blooming into the fall last year, well into the fall till first heavy snow. So 2 per cell, about 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch deep. You can actually dry these calendula for the oils, which is really good for your skin. And then I'll firm right over top of them. Make sure they're covered in the soil. This soil is already pre-moistened, like I said, and actually maybe even wetter than it has to be, so I won't be watering these. I'll just put the humidity dome over top and let them go. I'll keep that humidity dome on there for about 4 days to a week, and then I'll pull that off as they start sprouting up through. And once you're done, make sure to put your plant marker. I'll do the plant markers later. Now the next set is the Penstemon Spirit. These are very tiny seeds. They actually come in a little envelope inside the seed packet because they're so small. So be real careful while you're opening these. These are so tiny that they barely even want covered. So pretty much just gonna sow them right on the soil and then scratch them in. I'm going to use the tapper method because they're just so small. I'm going to tap 1 to 3 in each cell. I'm aiming for 12, but we'll see. Once I get these going, they're a perennial, so once I get them in the garden, they'll reseed on their own. Just getting them started. I'll get a few of these per cell. Pop. Put the rest back in the package. And then I'm just gonna use my finger and tap them in Move it around a little bit so they might cover up with just the 1 grain of soil. I just want them to have real good surface contact for when they germinate. So I'm really not even scratching the soil, I just pat them right down. Make sure they're nice and firm. You want to keep these moist for up to 21 days for them to germinate. Once you finish that, go ahead and put your plant marker in. The next set I'm going to do are the Snapdragons. This first one is the candy top mix, and it comes in a little plastic pill because it also has tiny seeds. These ones are so small that they actually put them in clay pellets, yellow clay pellets, which helps you see how many you're dropping in. I'm going to do 1 or 2 per cell because I don't have that many left. Oh, that was too many. That was just too many. Oh my. I'm using them all. Using them all. Okay, so I dumped them all out, but I didn't fill every cell, so I'm going to have to pull some of these out. I put about 8 in this cell, so I'm going to pull them out, switch them over to another empty cell. And they just pretty much stick right to the skewer, and you can drop them wherever you want them. Seems like it. It's nice. Nice. So I'm going to keep them 1 to 2, 1 to 3 per cell. And then lightly, very lightly cover them with soil. Once they hit the moisture, those clay pellet, the clay covering on the seeds will start to break down, and they'll actually hold the moisture close to the seed during the germination process. It really helps with the smaller seeds. Okay, once those are sown, we'll go to the next Snapdragon. This one is Floral Showers bicolor mix. This one has another envelope in it. Try and get this open here. Let's tear it off. The Snapdragons are about the same thing. These ones aren't pelletized, so I'm going to have to sew these on the surface without covering them, and I'll bring you back after. I got those all shaken out, and I'll just firm them into the soil. I'm not covering these, I'm just firming them so they have good soil to seed contact for germination. And those seeds can stick to your finger when you firm them, so make sure you don't drop them into another cell that they might be growing somewhere you don't want them to grow. The last Snapdragon today I have is the Snapdragon Night and Day. I grew these last year and I was pretty impressed. They last for a long time and they just keep putting off blooms. If you deadhead them, they go even longer. Try and tap them. Try and get 2 to 3 per cell here. Use all of those for there. I got all these last year and still had some seeds left over, so go ahead and firm these in one more time. These will take about 10 weeks to really get to a sizable plant you can put in the garden. They take a while to germinate, that's why they're about the first ones I'm starting. Up here in the corner, I'm going to be doing some chives, because I started some chives already, you saw in the round 1 seed starting, but I don't think I have enough, so I'll be starting some more chives right now. You can put a few of these per cell. You don't have to keep it to 2. I'm going to be doing 2 to 4 per cell. Make sure I get some more chives. Nothing's worse than sowing some seeds, waiting 2 weeks, and then not having anything. So I always sow more than I need. And don't forget to mark it. You will forget what you planted there. Okay, for my last pack in this tray, I'll be doing some lettuce leaf basil. You can never have too much basil. So I'll be starting some basil now to have some early basil. When I do the plant sale, I might have some good sized basil to sell. And then I will be starting more basil later on. Subscribe down below and you'll be able to watch me start that basil whenever I do start it for my garden. This basil will be grown just to be sold. Lightly put those in. I'm going to scratch this basil in. It's a little bit bigger than everything else. This little swirl, you just want to hopefully get some soil over each seed. Don't have to be too precise. Nature's not very precise, so you don't have to be. And that is our tray. That's our sown tray. Where you going, Pop? All finished and laid out. Now if you are tech savvy, you could just take a picture of this and that might be good enough for your plant marker, but I move my trays a lot and you probably will too, so you'll want to get a plant marker in each stall here. I only do one for each set of 12 and then one for the 6, one for the 6, but make sure you mark them because you will forget what they are. And since I'm starting seeds, we might as well do an update on the last round we did. Well, not the last round because nothing's happening with those peppers, but up. Or the sweet potatoes, nothing going on. But let's go check it out. Here are the sweet potatoes. We started on 220. In my grow room here, it's 81 degrees, which is actually fairly warm. You can see my onions. They're starting to come up. The red onions are definitely outracing the white onions. Over there you can see some oregano and chives a little bit on the end. Like I said, they're not really coming up. And then there in the middle is thyme. Still waiting on some rosemary. I got some mint and oregano coming up here. Let's take a look at that. Trying to keep them moist because they take a little bit longer to grow. Just tiny, tiny starting to come up there. I only have so much room in this grow room, so I had to move my brassicas out. I had to put them up into a south-facing window. So let's go look at those. Alright, I have my brassicas up here on this window facing south. I have a little lamp there just for a little supplement light, because we're only at about 11 hours of light in my zone, and that's not enough. So these are doing great, looking tall, maybe a little spindly. When I was moving them, I kicked the tray, killed 4 pak choi, so I resown those, keeping a top on them so they can stay moist longer. Got the fan blowing. Well, these are coming along. They should be ready for the plant sale in May. That's really all I have to start with seeds today. So I thought I'd bring you out here, check out the greenhouse. We just put in some new shelves, so I have a lot more space to be growing in. Last year it got pretty packed. Sorry about this wind. Get in here out of the wind. Now this is my small Harbor Freight greenhouse. The wind's really beating. But I got these wire racks that'll easily fit 10 by 20 trays. Very nice, with about 16 inches of clearance between each shelf. Plenty up high. And I got the whole side wall covered in rack space. Got my fan in here, got both fans in here, and my seed starting table with all my pots ready to be up potted there. Now my ground is covered in sawdust, which works fairly well. If you drop a seed, it's pretty much gone, but other than that, keeps it dry in here and keeps it warm. So this is the greenhouse empty in the spring. We will be starting plenty of seeds in here. If you follow along, you'll be able to see this greenhouse completely filled up, which might not be much. If you have a big greenhouse, this doesn't look like much to you, but all I use it for is seed starting. I don't actually grow during the season in here. It works for me. Since I'm outside, I figured I'd bring you down and show you what the garden looks like today. We'll come into the garden here. Got the asparagus bed that is planted full of asparagus. And then the trellis on the end, I do snow peas on this trellis. And I do pickles on this trellis. This is mainly for root vegetables and salad greens, this raised bed. You can't tell, but all my walking paths are wood chips. And then I have the main garden here, which you can still see all the tomato remnants left on my fencing. I have this, switch you around here. Here's my tomato fence. And I grew green beans on there last year. It works pretty good. Don't have to really tie up my tomatoes at all. I just weave them right through that 6-inch square fencing. And then I have the chicken wire up all around the garden because I have puppies and they like to get in my garden and destroy things. So it's a little quick view of the garden. It'll look real different. Out this mound here that you're seeing, out this way, there's a hill, and I'll grow all my squash and watermelons down that hill. It works out real well. Bring you around. Here's our compost tumbler we use for some of this kitchen scraps once it gets full, and bring it over to the compost. Here's an old snake gourd from last year. But I have my compost covered to keep the heat in. It's got a long ways to go. And over here, more of the finished stuff. Not too bad. It's all frozen. All frozen. But I thought I'd bring you out here and get you a look at the garden before everything gets started. This is February, end of February in Zone 6A. That's what we deal with. Gotta keep the puppy out of the garden, huh, Pop? Nah, that goes real good. He doesn't crush anything in the garden. He's a good boy. Alright, that's all for this video. Follow along while I start all my other seeds and we can watch this garden grow together. Till next time, see ya.